What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today, I know the Sweet 16 predictions is a bit late. Recorded it yesterday. For some reason, it didn't register. So, I'm going to make it today. So, anyway, this is my Sweet 16 and my bracket review. So, yeah, let's dive into this. So, got the Gonzaga pick to go to the Sweet 16, right? Nearly lost. They were actually down, I think, to Georgia State at one point. It was a close game up until the 10 minutes, and Gonzaga pulled away. Basically, the same thing with Boise State. They were down by 10 at halftime or 11 or something. They came back. No, not Boise State. Sorry, Memphis. They came back and won that game. So some resilience is shown for Gonzaga, but also some worry that they were not. Some of these teams were coming close to them. And I did pick the Boise State game wrong. I said that game was a great matchup. Memphis did not disappoint there. And then UConn, I was not expecting that New Mexico State upset at all, but it did happen. So UConn goes down. Arkansas, I did pick them to successfully make it to the Sweet 16, but both of those, New Mexico State and UConn, gave them a very good run for their money. And then we got I did originally. I had Rutgers / Alabama. Notre Dame pulling off the upset over Alabama, but I swapped that pick to Alabama because Notre Dame won that game. I didn't trust Notre Dame in that game. Obviously, I was wrong about that, but yeah, should have kept it, but it is what it is. I only lost one round, so it's fine. I did predict Texas Tech to go all the way. Although Notre Dame gave me a very scare. I predicted Texas Tech to go to the Final Four, so that was big. And then anyway, right here, Michigan State did pick to beat Davidson in a very good game right there. Did pick Duke to beat Cal State Fullerton, but then I picked Michigan State to go to the Sweet 16. My first Sweet 16, my only Sweet 16 that I lost in this round, in this division thing, lost in that game. I was expecting the upset, but Duke, they've been playing pretty impressive this tournament. That's going to be a good game between Texas Tech and Duke. And then in the South, I did predict Arizona. I actually predicted all four of these games, right? I did predict Arizona to win and TCU to beat Seton Hall. Both those teams won convincingly. Picked Houston to beat UAB. That was a quite impressive win for Houston. And Illinois barely wins that game over Chattanooga. Man, that would have been a crazy upset. But Chattanooga was a very solid 13. Illinois just really, I think they only led for 25 seconds, and that was the only 25 seconds that mattered, basically. So congratulations to them. But they did get thumped. Well, they didn't get thumped. It was a close game up until the end where Houston pulled away. To lose that game in Arizona, nearly lost to TCU in overtime, but were able to survive and advance to keep my champion still alive. Down here, picked Michigan and Tennessee to win those games. Michigan came back at the beginning. That was the first game of the tournament, I believe. And then Ohio State. I was not expecting that kind of a performance from their defense. Their defense went off against Loyola. Loyola just could not get anything going, and Ohio State picked up the win. That was an impressive win there. But Villanova was able to beat Delaware and then beat Ohio State by 10 to advance. But then I was very surprised by that Tennessee-Michigan game. Tennessee kind of shut down at the end. They were up by I think 6 or something with 2 minutes or 3 minutes. I don't remember, but they kind of blew that lead, and and Michigan won the game as an 11 seed. Who predicted that? Good thing I didn't pick Tennessee to go to my Final Four, but I didn't. So yeah, Villanova, Michigan will be that game, and Houston, Arizona is the other one. All right, in the top end of the Midwest, I picked Kansas to beat Texas Southern. Easily did that, and I did pick Creighton to beat San Diego State. was basically down all game till like the very end to force overtime. And then in overtime, they were the better team to beat San Diego State. By the way, Mountain West teams were 0-4 in the tournament. Very disappointing if you're a Mountain West fan. But yeah, Kansas, I did pick to beat Creighton. Creighton played a good game, got close, but Kansas pulled away at the end, showing why they're so good. And then anyway, down here, not a good round here. Iowa, Richmond. Richmond pulled off the upset. The rest kind of screwed Iowa in the end, but that's no excuse for Iowa. Richmond played like the better team. Iowa was just not there. That was not the Iowa team that I remembered from the season. And that was my first Final Four team in like the first, I don't even know, like fifth game, I think maybe that's what it was. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed after that. And I also did pick South Dakota State to beat Providence. Providence made it to the Sweet 16. I've been on Providence all year long. And then right when the last few days of the tournament, I've started to pull off upsets because of that disappointing loss to Creighton. I was very much wrong about Providence. Very much right earlier on for basically the whole year until up to the very end. And this tournament about Providence. Hats off to them. They made it to the Sweet 16. So good job, Providence. Down here, a very solid first round for me. I picked the Iowa State to beat LSU. That was pretty obvious for me after the coach, but LSU gave it a good fight. That was a crazy 3 at the end by Hunter to win the game. Wisconsin survived against Colgate. Colgate fought. Wisconsin came back, showed they were the better team. And then Miami. Miami beat USC in that game. USC nearly won that game on a 3, but Miami survived. And then Auburn beat Jacksonville State. And then for 2 upsets, Iowa State beat Wisconsin. That was shocking. I was not expecting that. I mean, I kind of was debating switching that one, but I mean, Wisconsin was the better team in my mind at then. Iowa State played better, and Wisconsin kind of shut down at the end. And same thing for Auburn. Auburn just did not even come close to coming back in that game. They were like down by 10 basically the whole second half, 10 or more. So, I mean, it was disappointing, very disappointing for Auburn. Also was thinking about pulling off that upset, but I already had the Michigan State one, so I didn't do it. And then, yeah, so basically this region's a lost cause right now. Iowa, Wisconsin, so I'm not going to be cheering for anyone. I really want Wisconsin, Auburn. I do want Providence to go far. I've liked them from the beginning of the year. I'm still going to cheer for you, Providence. But yeah, that's where I have right there. And then over here in the East, at the top of it, Baylor beat Norfolk State, dominated them. I think that was the best win out of any of the 1 seeds over the 16. North Carolina crushed Marquette. That was a quite impressive performance from Carolina in that game. And then I was completely off on Indiana. I kind of wish Wyoming beat Indiana now. Not going to lie, because I had Indiana in the Elite Eight. I was going wild with it. I picked them to beat St. Mary's, UCLA, and Baylor in that game. Obviously, I was wrong about that, but yeah, I mean, you got to go a little bit wild with it, and I thought that was worth it. Indiana just did not play well against St. Mary's at all. And UCLA did beat Akron, actually survived. Akron was up for a long time, very similar to that Illinois-Chattanooga game. And then in the next round, Baylor, down by 25, nearly came back, forced overtime, just ran out of gas. That's what it seemed at the end. And North Carolina survived to advance on to the next round. If you watch my March Madness predictions, this is the one upset I very much regret don't picking. I was very close to picking it, but I decided to pick Baylor. I was wrong about that. Then obviously I picked Indiana to advance. Also was debating this game here, Indiana UCLA, but I got a little wild with it. What's wrong with that? And then anyway, down here, Virginia Tech, Texas. Was not expecting that kind of performance out of Texas. Virginia Tech just could not get a stop. in that second half, especially after that half-court heave at the end of the first half. That really set the momentum for Texas, and they went out swinging at Virginia Tech in that game in the second half to advance. Purdue, I did predict to beat Yale, and Purdue beat Texas to advance. And so far, I'm right about this Purdue team. Don't have a lot of competition. I don't want to jinx this, but I like Purdue's chances to make it out of this region at the moment. But anyway, Murray State I did pick to beat San Francisco. And then the story of the tournament, St. Peter's beating Kentucky in overtime, two overtime games here. Murray State, San Francisco. Not to take away from that game, that was a great game between Murray State and San Francisco. But the story of the tournament's been St. Peter's beating Kentucky, then beating Murray State by 10 to advance on to the Sweet 16, second year out of three teams, second year in a row that a 15 seed in Oral Roberts last year, now St. Peter's to make it to the Sweet 16. I believe no 15 has made it to the Elite 8. So it could be the first time. Obviously, I'd be wrong about that by Purdue, but I'm here for it. I mean, it would be a win-lose situation. It would be a lose for my bracket, but it'd be a win because I'm very happy for the St. Peter's team, and I want them to go far. But yeah, that is my bracket review. So anyway, still got these three Final Four teams. But let's get into the Sweet 16 predictions, starting out with this Gonzaga Arkansas game. Now, in my original predictions, I picked Arkansas to win, and I am debating this. Now, I don't have to go off my same predictions for this Sweet 16 predictions. I'm going off of these games. Gonzaga has proven something to me that when they're down, they can finish at the end. The last 10 minutes of both their games, they have finished off Memphis and Georgia State convincingly. Maybe not Memphis. Memphis hung around. Memphis is a good team, but Gonzaga would not let them win that game. They wanted it bad. Arkansas, meanwhile, in the first two games, wasn't impressed really against Vermont. Vermont's a good team. That's not the game. That New Mexico State game, New Mexico State played horrible that game, and Gonzaga barely escaped with that win. I mean, Arkansas, sorry. So I'm going to switch my pick around here. I'm going Gonzaga, the 1 seed, to advance. Obviously, I'm still going to be cheering for Arkansas in that game because I still like my original bracket. But if I could change it right now, I would pick Gonzaga to win that game. Texas Tech against Duke. This will be the game of the Sweet 16. We have no other 2 versus 3s. So, it's going to be an interesting game. Texas Tech is in my opinion, the better team and is more talented to win this game. Well, not more talented. Duke is more talented, but Duke has been shown to be inconsistent this year, and I'm still going to roll with the Red Raiders in that game, and I think that they could lose that game very much easily, though, but I'm going Texas Tech. And then over here, Arizona, Houston, 1 versus 5. Houston, man, they have been quite impressive in these last few games, better than I thought that they would be. And I'm nervous for Arizona. They could very much lose this game here. But I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going Arizona. I've believed in them all year. I don't want to make that same mistake that I did with Providence. And I think Arizona can advance on to the Elite Eight past Houston. But that's also going to be one of the better games this tournament. All 3 of these are going to be very good games. This one, on the other hand, I feel like is very uneven. Michigan, Tennessee kind of shut down in that last game, just to say. Villanova, not so much. They've had a good start to this tournament. I don't see Michigan winning this game. I feel like that's a clear-cut pick for me. Villanova is going to be able to make it to the Elite Eight. All right, down here, Kansas against Providence. Now, as much as I want to pick Providence, Kansas has been impressive to start out this tournament. Very similar to Gonzaga. Providence also been impressive, but they have only been able to go through a 12 and a 13. I don't see them winning that game. I'm going to go Kansas. And then another double-digit, on the only double-digit matchup, we're going to at least get one double-digit seed in this Sweet 16. Elite Eight. We could get one more with that St. Peter's game. But Iowa State, Miami, both these teams have been very impressive so far. but I am going with the 11th seed Iowa State. I could see this game going either way, but Iowa State, man, they'd be a better team, I think, of Wisconsin. And Miami may have convincingly beat Auburn, but they nearly lost to USC. And in general, overall, this season, I would trust Iowa State a little bit more than I would Miami. But this game is going to be a good game, and I think could come down to the last few seconds. Anyway, North Carolina against UCLA. North Carolina has been very impressive. They're very high scoring in their first two games. UCLA, though, has picked it up at the basically the last 45-ish minutes of basketball they're playing. The first 35 were very bad for UCLA against Akron, but they picked things up. North Carolina did nearly blow that lead. I think UCLA is the better team overall. I think that they can advance on. And then Purdue against St. Peter's. I think that this is by far the most lopsided matchup. I really want St. Peter's to go on to the Final Four run or Elite Eight run. That would be an insane story. The best ever, basically. But I just cannot see it happening. Purdue, with their bigs, I just cannot see St. Peter's going. I mean, Kentucky, more athletic group. Purdue is basically just huge on the inside. They're going to dominate on that interior. St. Peter's is going to try and keep their game on with their shooting. I don't think that they're going to be able to do it, though. I think Purdue can win that game. Now, sticking with here, Purdue, UCLA, a good matchup here, but I do think Purdue is a Final Four caliber team here. And there's just nothing that's changed my mind about that entering into this tournament. I mean, I had them picking Kentucky, and I was very high on Kentucky entering into this tournament. But Purdue, I think, is in Final Four team to beat UCLA. And then Kansas against Iowa State, the 11th seed. I don't see Kansas losing this game. The Providence game is going to be harder. Iowa State, great run to the Elite Eight, an 11th seed in the Elite Eight. That's always a great run. I just cannot see Kansas losing that game. They are the better team. They're a Final Four team. I said it. If they're going to beat Iowa, they're going to the Final Four in this region. And they don't even have to play Iowa, so it's a win for Kansas. So, yeah, they can win that game. And then up here, Arizona, Villanova, another tough matchup for Arizona. But honestly, I think the Houston game is going to be tougher for them. If they can get past that game, I think that they can advance on to the Final Four to play the other number one seed in Kansas there and win that game. Then Texas Tech against Gonzaga. I feel like Gonzaga is going to survive again against Arkansas, but this time Texas Tech, I think, is the better team overall than Gonzaga. And Gonzaga, I mean, they're really good, but Texas Tech, I mean, they nearly lost Notre Dame, but nothing's changed me from saying that they're not the Final Four team out of this region. So, yeah, all three of these teams, except for maybe Arizona, I could see Arizona going. Their path has been very difficult so far, and it will continue with Houston and potentially Villanova. But anyway, Texas Tech, Purdue for a spot in the Final Four. Purdue has been more impressive this tournament than me and Texas Tech, and I originally picked Purdue, so there's no reason for me not to pick Purdue here. Jalen Ivey, and this team is going to the Final Four. I mean, the national championship game. Arizona, Kansas. Kansas, great season, great team. This game is going to be fun if we get it, and I think we might. Man, what a matchup. I got to go with Arizona, though. I feel like this team has so much talent. They play so much confidence. This team is going to be able to go and beat Kansas, but this game probably could come down to a buzzer beater at the end. Arizona came up clutch against TCU in that game. I think that they could do it against Kansas. That game against TCU was also a big learning experience for Arizona to get ready. They haven't really had a game like that, I don't think, since UCLA. And then for the championship, Purdue, the number 3 team against the number 1 seed from the Midwest. Purdue against Arizona. Now, Arizona, great season. Purdue, but great season. Purdue's a legitimate national contender. But if Arizona's going to be able to get past Kansas, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to win the championship game. So, yeah, those are my pick. Tiebreaker, I'll go, I think I did 67-62, I think. But anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed the content. So yeah, comment down below your Sweet 16 predictions and how your brackets been going. But anyway, guys, peace.